Hi, this is the second video on creating a biblical worldview, and we're starting with the issue of Scripture, because if we're going to have a biblical worldview, then we have to lay the foundation of the authority of Scripture as that worldview. So I want to deal today, or this moment, with the inspiration of Scripture. How is Scripture inspired? Well, we're told in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16, that all Scripture is inspired by God and is useful for teaching, for reproof, for correction, for training in all righteousness, that the man of God may be competent, fully equipped for every good work. So we read here very clearly that Scripture is inspired, and that's something that you find throughout the Old and the New Testament. It is not a group of books written with men having their own ideas. It's written with the inspiration of God. God is in charge of the writing. But in particular, what does inspiration mean here? Well, in some translations, they actually get this out. And the literal Greek for 2 Timothy chapter 3, 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16, is all Scripture is God-breathed. God-breathed. Now, why is that important? If you consider yourself, when we talk, we're talking because we're breathing out. And as we breathe out, we form words. And those words then go into the ears of the hearer, and then they can act on it, meditate on it, decide whether they agree with it or not. Or sometimes we can speak out those words, and those words will go on a page if you have something on your computer that can take down what you're saying. But nevertheless, it says God breathed. So what that means is that every word that's in Scripture is a word that comes from the mouth of God Himself. That's what it means to be inspired. These words that you find on the page of the Bible are not words that were crafted by human beings for their own purposes. They were words that were given by God Himself. Every word there in the Bible, from the first word of Genesis to the last word of Revelation, has with it God's power and God's purpose. So no word of Scripture and no book of the Bible is insignificant or unimportant. All of it has deep meaning and deep importance because it comes from the very mouth of the Almighty. And of course, that is also why we have to say that the Bible is inerrant. It's inerrant because it comes from the very mouth of God, and God cannot lie, and God cannot be in error. Thank you. And now the next time that we come together, having established the foundation of the Scripture, we will talk about the order of creation.